Hello, Alfio. Alfio Tommasini. We talk about this book, Alfio Tommasini, Via Lactea. I show the title, maybe I cannot show. One can see the title. It's difficult to see. Ah, yeah, like this. Like this, you can see. Via Lactea, a wonderful book. It's all in white because it's about milk and cows and snow. More or less, it's about milk, cows, snow, landscape, farming, and human, animal, and animals, working animals and human animals, right? Working together, or as you say in English, you say livestock, but I prefer the notion of working animals because they're sort of working for us, right?
Exactly, yeah, yeah.
So you see people with cows and calves. And just one question, you know, it's a very special photography because it's so quiet. It's a very quiet kind of photographing people and animals. But there is one thing which is very special, that the humans rarely look into the camera. The gaze goes to the left or to the right, and the animals nearly always look into the camera. It's an interesting phenomenon. Is this on purpose, or did it just come? I go quickly through the first pages, which are landscape. It's winter, and then we go inside.
Yeah, I think the calm of it's very calm because example from the
landscape. So we go, maybe this double page is good to make a stop and talk about this, because it's this kind of relations between landscape and animals, working animals. And here you see the patches of snow and patches of white on a cow's skin, and it's like I think what this book leaves you with is this feeling of connection between working animals and human animals. And actually, because that's why I mentioned this, that the cows look into your face makes them even come nearly closer to you than the humans. Mm-hmm. Would you agree, or is this?
No, yeah, actually, it's a good observation. It's not that when I was taking the project, I really firstly thought about, you know, the cows have to look at me and the farmer, not necessarily. Mm-hmm. But it's true that I wanted to have some suspended moment, you know, and some mystery as well, and maybe the cow in a way, or metaphorically take place in this. No, can you hear me well? Or
yeah, sorry, I just wanted to make it a bit louder, and it's not my computer, so.
And
sorry, go on.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, it's important. It was important to find that calm, and yes, that relation with the land. You know, for me was interesting as well to go back into history. You know, how a relation could grow up in a place so like extreme, so cold, with such a long winter. That's as well why I choose the winter. You know, it's the longest season we have, and to me, like I really liked. I'm interested in how people relate always with the territory, and I felt that these people, that it's part of my history, of our history, how they have this connection, and how at the end, almost like the Via in Italian or in Latin as well, it's a Latin title because it's a project in all Switzerland. I wanted to leave like an open title, like Via, it's like as well a road. And to me, it's as well interesting how a road, all every road we can reach nowadays in our country, it's a cultural landscape. It's not like a wild landscape. It's a landscape that has been transformed by human to adapt to the territory and to survive. Nowadays, we don't have any more these worries about how we can survive a landscape, but in the past we had it, and so to me, it's sometimes even if I don't want to be moralistic or anything, but I feel that it's important to have a connection with the land we live, you know, and that's why there is a lot of these images that, like in the first landscape you showed, like trying to have this talk, you know, between cows, between how we transform as well animals, not only the landscapes.
Yeah, well, one can see it maybe also here. Like he's sort of like deep in the hay. You know, he's like he's bending in how do you say? He's like in a bed. He's standing, but he's leaning against the hay stock and becoming a part of the grass, of the hay. And the cow is, and the calf's head is also totally embedded in the background, you know, and being part of the whole. It's also the coloring of your photographs, you know, little lights, very warm lights. How did you get to this light? How did you do that? That you have this kind of soft, warm light.
Yeah, it's always, I never use like external lighting. It's always the light I found in the stable, in the farm itself. And to me as well was interesting to try to transmit an atmosphere. And when you're outside in the winter, wandering around, trying to find a farm, it's all white, it's all kind of flat light of the winter. And then you arrive in this farm and I felt that warmth, you know, and I want to transmit that warmth that you find. Maybe, yeah, of course it's light, but it's as well the color, it's as well the breath, especially, you know, the breath of the calf and the cow, how under the same farm you felt that warmth between human and animal. It's a bit what interested me, you know, and like this kind of change between outside and inside when of course it's snowy, you have to stay inside with close to your animals.
Yeah. What did you tell when you photograph people like him with the cow? What did you tell the people how they should pose? How they should look? Did you tell them anything, or did you just catch a moment?
No, I mean, first I always I like that you perceive that it's all calm, because as well I try to be calm in the approach with the farmers, you know. And normally, of course, people are working. It's not like it comes me with the photo, you know, let's take some photo. And I didn't want action, you know. I want to have a moment that was suspended. And but the photo, they came after a while that I was there, you know, and maybe there is a moment of in between of something, you know, and people maybe got used. Of course, sometimes I as well, because, you know, I work with the natural light I found. And of course, sometimes I moved. I try to place a bit and say, no, don't smile. All these things that we usually do when we do photography, you know. But yeah. So it's as well depending a bit the situation. I think there is not like a general rule.
It's like a little bit like suspended in time. It's like an in-between moment. Action to the next action. And naturally, the animals, the working animals, they were just curious, right? They were curious when you photographed, or?
Yeah, they're curious, you know, and again, calm, because it's a very calm animal in the cow and the calf. But as well, there is this curiosity, and I really enjoy to portray them. And I try to portray them in the same way, in the same like angles, or same perspective, I would portray the farmers, you know, and
Yeah.
but yeah, the cows, they in a way they come to you, you know, and they look, yeah, with curiosity, but as well in a way the farmers, they were curious about my project. I always tried to be clear in what I was doing, so you know, they are things that it's like a seated queen. I think she was
Exactly. It's very royal, you know.
yeah. She was, I think, how do you say, pregnant as well.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I like as well. I was trying to get as well this kind of, I don't know how to say, maybe dignity or like pose in the way cows are placed.
Yeah,
I
there's
tried to,
a lot of dignity, that's right, and pride, sort of, like also this dog is amazing. He's so quiet, you know, like resting in
yeah, in his
himself. Because normally those up and seller dogs, you know, they bark at you when you come
yes.
close to the farm. They're
But he was barking at the beginning
really
again
quiet.
with the time, you know, staying there, and actually
Good.
there is sleeping.
Sorry? No, I
No,
didn't.
actually there, the dog was barking at me at the beginning. You know, many times you arrive to a farm, and if there is a dog, the dog defend and barks, you know.
Yes.
But after that you met the owner of the dog and you talk, and then it makes him calm. And as well, the patterns are similar from the Appenzeller dog to these cows. And as in the landscape, you know, I was looking for like similar patterns in like the spots of the dog are similar to these cows. And here again is the breathe, the warmth created
That's
by
a breeze, what you see here, right?
yeah, it's breathe, because there was like minus maybe 15 or
It's amazing because it becomes like a fluid, you know, being in the air. It's like a little bit supernatural, you know, this fog, like coming like a paraphysical element coming out of those animals. It's amazing. Like I've never seen it photographed like this. And then in between you have part of the landscape. As we know, all this winter landscape will eventually disappear. One can, you speak about the cold, about the freezing cold, but maybe this is not lasting, you know.
yeah, it could
It's
be.
becoming so freezing cold in
Yeah,
mountains. And you photographed in all the Alps, like the valleys, Graubünden,
yeah,
Appenzell, Schwyz, and all those cantons, all those alpine regions, they will have change. One can say. Or did you think about that when you made the book about
yeah, as well
climate
practically.
change or climate, you know, alpine economy? Did you
Yeah,
think
no,
that?
of course, and in a way as well practically, because when I was taking the picture, it was winter, and I was waiting that the winter came, and then maybe in November or December you still have very warm days. The snow doesn't come, and that photo it's like the photo from before. It was like the arrival of the winter. There are these kind of waves. To me, it's like
First snow.
like it was the first day of snow, first morning, and
It's really a magical book. It's about also about the magic of mountains, of being in the mountains and being in this old landscape and having this profession, having this how do you say, métier, you know, this profession that is maybe the oldest, except hunting or whatever. And what is so amazing is that, as you know, I mean, the milk like cattle breeding and Milchwirtschaft, you know, the milk economy is, and the meat economy is one of the reasons we have climate change, you know. So it's at the same time, it's so touching and so magical. And on the other hand, you know, that this change in human history from being nomadic and hunting, you know, and hunting and gathering, to being settled and doing farming, is the beginning of what we have now. You know, it's totally the beginning. So the cow, and there are too many cows in the world, you know. But here you feel like what it was in the beginning. Like it has this magic of human animals being together with their counterparts in a kind of, and here you would never say this is perverted or this is terrible, and you would never think of mass slaughtering of animals, you know. When you see this book, this is like it's like the how could you say the
yeah, no, I understand
the good part of this, of all this, without. That's why I asked you if you thought about that. Naturally, you thought about.
Oh, of course, I had a lot of
those implications, and the book is going from those images with people, with human animals and working animals, slowly to also to the industry. Just show some in advance. Where you have the industry of milk, just to show in the end of the book. But that's the choreography of the book is from, if you want, from the magic to the industrial, somehow. And this is a very intelligent way of you know, making this the problem conscious.
No, this dilemma I had it many times, you know, but at the end I tried to, because I didn't want to be political, but of course I had this dilemma of, and I'm concerned, you know, about like all this mass slaughtering, these big farms, you know, and that has consequences as well. But when I went into these places, I felt there is still this symbiosis with the land, which I didn't think it's destroying, you know, it's still part of, and it permits to have still some culture living in some places, you know. And so I didn't want to do something judgmental. I want to stay more in the mystery and leaving open to interpretation to whatever sensibilities. Because to me, it's a lot about mystery as well, the mountains. When we go to the like the mountains in general push us to mystery, to wonder, you know. We want to go up in a mountain and see what's there, what's in the other side. So I think the culture as well, we have a lot of stereotypes about farmers and about closure, but people have always been open, I think, as well, you know, to innovation and to technology. Like technology goes in parallel with agriculture. Agriculture is technology at the end, no?
Yeah, but I think that here you get a glimpse on what is still the culture of agriculture, you know, the cultural side of agriculture, and not just agroeconomics or agro-technology or agro-industry. So it's more the agricultural part of milk. And naturally, you know that also, you know that milk, even milk production is not, it's not so nice with the animals, you know, in the mass form, you know, in the industrial form, you know, animals become really part of a technological chain production, you know, like cars, like car parts, or
no, but what I meant that,
you know, there is an element in it's saffron, you know, in this book, eating how do you call, Saffron Fur's book about meat, eating meat. I think it's eating meat or eating, yeah, eating meat. Fleischessen in German. He's mentioning that the car industry, you know, this is really a story I didn't know. The car industry production in Chicago and in America was inspired by food, by cattle slaughtering in Chicago. So the cattle were, when the first industrial cattle slaughtering facilities were in Chicago, and they took the part, the animal was killed and then, you know, put on a chain and hung, and then it was cut into parts, and it was a work done by different people along the chain. So that inspired the first car production designers to make the chain production of cars. And this is the story I didn't know. This is really, I think it's mind-blowing that car production, the industry of car production came from the cattle slaughtering production, industrial cattle slaughtering.
Yeah.
And so here, now we come to my favorite image. Wait, it's just a page before. So this is really my favorite image of the whole book. One of the favorite images. This is really one of the best photographies of a human animal and an animal. And especially if you look at, her eyes, and even here, the calf is looking at the spectator, is looking more or less in the observer's eye, and the girl is looking beside. You know, it's an amazing atmosphere in this of one could say empathy, no? Or how did you feel like those people where I say it's more the culture of agriculture, not agro industry? Is there room for empathy?
Oh yeah, actually.
I mean, how do they manage
I think
their empathy and being, you know, they breed those animals and they kill them in the end.
Yeah, exactly. Because
so what about the empathy with it?
Yeah, but it's a different kind of empathy for the vision of many of us. We cannot understand. Yeah, but empathy, you know, they give names to animals, they caress them, they have a lot of when they are love and so, but then they just kill it to make meat or to make. But it's a cycle of life, and for them it's part of this cycle, and it's a different perception, you know. And I didn't want to. I respect that perception. I didn't want to judge it. And in that photo from before, of course, I find empathy. I hope, you know, that it's kind of. And here, yeah, we go again in the.
But I mean, the thing is here, the calves, they all look like they would grow in normal stables and with light, and they can walk around a little bit, and, you know, they can stand up and walk around.
Yeah, and they go in.
I guess. So.
If they are.
Yeah, as I mentioned, actually, many calves cannot do that anymore. You know, they're just blocked in two small cages and don't see the light of the day. To keep, you know, it's.
Yeah, it's not about that.
It's not about that. This book, but it's interesting because you feel the difference. You know, this book is like to remind you how it could be, you know.
They are all small scale farms, you know, mostly like
exactly.
40 cows, some even less, some, okay, 50, but it's not like thousands and thousands of cows. And in the summer, they go to this transformed like landscape that we created in the Alps. And so it's still like some dignity in their life, I think.
Actually, it could be, you know, it's like also like a utopia, because if you think in the future, meat production could be otherwise. You know, I have even a friend who is thinking about conceiving artificial milk, which contains all the stuff which is in milk, but it's 100% not from a cow. So like artificial meat out of peas or whatever, you know, or soja, soya beans, you know, or peas. So he's thinking about milk. So the meat production and milk production could be in the mass, in what concerns the mass production, could be done industrially without animals. You could imagine. And this would be something completely different. This would be about taking care of landscape and you know, of like many farmers in the mountains, also in Switzerland, that are subsidized. They're just taking care of the landscape, more or less. You know, they're not contributing so much. I mean, this, you see the elements of industrialization still. They are not really. They're there to take care of the landscape, and this could be the task with few animals and small farms, and they would maybe also produce meat, which would be incredibly expensive, you know, and rare and special. This could be a future, a vision about on eating meat. So this could also be like a book from the future. The last people who live with working animals, and they treat them well, and maybe there's some milk coming out of them, some milk is produced and some meat is produced, but it's a totally exclusive and exquisite kind of food. You know, it's not just like this mass food like we consume today. Those are the veins on a cow's belly. Is she pregnant? That's why she's.
No, it's the. Oh no.
On the. What do you call it in English? I don't even know.
Udder, I think. Udder.
Udder.
Or udder, udder, I don't know.
Udder, but it's full in any case.
It's full of
totally
meat.
Full. So that's the veins. So this is also an unbelievable atmosphere in this photograph of a birth of a calf. Hold it a bit closer.
Yeah, this is one of the few action you see in the book.
Yes. Well, that's maybe the action. Yeah. And then we see next page. So beautiful. What is your background on concerning farming or mountains?
Do you know, I was born in a village of 200 inhabitants in a valley of Ticino, in Valle Maggia. So to me, it's like a world that I know quite well already, you know, even if I was never like directly in contact, like because my grandfathers, they died before I couldn't meet them. They were farmers and I was never like, and sometimes people wanted to go away from this war because they felt it was a very difficult war, you know, difficult reality. So to me, I was never pushed to go in that, but I know I was always interested, and I know that world is not completely stranger of going into that. And yeah, here we go more into in that transformation. And
but did you, when you went there now to photograph the milk industry, the farming, the agricultural, alpine agriculture, did you have, is it a nostalgic place for you concerning your biography, or is it a estranged place? Did you have a distance to it, or do you feel familiar?
I try to have certain distance in the picture, or like to be more observer, than really like. But I didn't feel uncomfortable that I have a distance. I felt actually, I do the photo of themes that I'm interested to. I don't do something just for do it. And so I was always comfortable as well with the people, relating. I stay with them a lot, to sleep in the farm. So it's really a world that I feel comfortable in that world. And I like to place myself as well, sometimes thinking, sometimes in my dream I would be like, Thoreau or some going to the wild and just, but to be realistic, nowadays we cannot survive the wilderness, without a cultural landscape, we couldn't survive ourselves. So that's why I like as well to think in the future, in possibilities for the future, because it's not only about, because you can do a choice of not eating milk or meat, but think, how can I survive in a landscape that it's untouched? I cannot, probably I cannot, at least in
No.
the Alps. In the Alps you cannot survive.
Not anymore, in any case.
If you're, because you need that transformation to make you fit in that place and to face the nature and stuff. Maybe if you're born in a very fertile place full of fruits and vegetables all year, you can as well just. But yeah, the history now, it's a bit complex or long to talk all about this. But there are things that I always consider. I think the past, like where we come, but the present, but as well I like to project myself in the future, and that's why in the book as well sometimes I try that the photo could be without time, could be the present, but not with nostalgia, not with reference from the past, but I like that they have this, that they are a bit like suspended on time,
Mm-hmm. That's what I meant with this possibility that this is an utopia.
Mm-hmm.
A world which could be possible if and would be like a hyper cultural landscape
Mm-hmm.
being worked by those people and those working animals sort of together, like in this symbiotic way that we know for thousands of years, like symbiotic with the cow, or symbiosis with dogs or other working animals, that this could be in the future, could be something that would be necessary to do, and to perform, to go on with this cultural performance. If we can solve this problem of meat production, of this excessive meat consumption and excessive meat production, that the world would become good again, the world of having cows and milking them and killing them. I've also friends who in Graubünden, they start with some time ago, they started with shooting the animals on the grass outside, They wouldn't, and they transport them. It's not so easy, you think it's easy, but it's regulations in Switzerland. So they first had to regulate exactly how to transport the dead cow body to the slaughterhouse then. So it has to be certain conditions of hygienics, and it's very complicated, But now they kill the animals the animals don't know, no stress at all. And they kill them one by one, you know, out in the on the lawn, you know, in the grass, and on the Alp. And maybe this is a way of handling this problem. Maybe this is a way of that people can live together with animals in a way that keeps the dignity of both. Because as you saw now, you know, this the COVID was terrible in those slaughterhouses in Germany. So not only the animals are miserable, but also the human animals that work there are miserable and work under terrible conditions. So we should also think about human animals when you think about eating meat, not only the animals too.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, it's not easy not to have answer to, because of course if you're like very environmentalist, like ambientalist, very like convinced, it's difficult to accept some sort of thing. But I think there is no yes or no, that's right, that's
no,
it's part of a culture, and you cannot eradicate a culture and hope that one day there is going to be no more meat or milk drinking, because
oh no, it's very complicated problem.
Cows as well, you know, we don't have
It's
cows
like
for domestic animal, like just like cats, you know, and cows are a problem.
it's also I think it's very intelligent to focus on milk, because milk is such an important part of our daily life in Switzerland. Switzerland is a milk country, you know. It's like the milk production is amazingly big, you know. It's a very important industry in Switzerland. Not only milk, but all yogurt, cheese, and everything.
Yeah.
So it's a giant industry, and it's normally you think, yeah, people drink milk or eat yogurt, and you don't think about mistreating animals. You never think. Oh yeah, milking, you know, the animal stays alive. But actually, it's also slavery. You know, cows in mass milk production are slaves. You know, they're working slaves, and we take the milk from them, and they have to give much more milk than they should per day. You know, I mean, milk. Normally, cows give milk when they have a calf. You know, normally. And,
no, of course, there is a lot of ambiguity in all, no, but to me in a way as well, it was interesting because of this, it's really part cows and milk of the Swiss culture to take a bit this cliche of representation. Right. Because we have so many cliche, but it's normally always the same images we give and so I wanted as well to me was interesting to try to see this cliche in under other eyes, you know, and that's well, I'm in a way interested to have a reaction of a public that follows photography, that has an education in images, but as well in how farmers and people that live this life will react to the book. You know?
There is also, so this is, how long did we have? We have, this book has a wonderful text in it by Noémie Lerch. Graphically, it was designed by this Sidi Vanetti, also from Tessin. And Noémie Lerch was, I don't know where she's living now, but she was living in the mountains.
Yeah, she's
having a child, being pregnant. And she wrote a text that is, the text is called "Winter is in truth a single long dream. In Wahrheit ist der Winter ein einzig langer Traum." And it's a wonderful text about her pregnancy, having the child, and being with the cows in the mountains. Can you say something to this text?
Yeah.
Say something to did you ask her for a text? She saw the photographs and she knew you. She knew your photographs, and then she wrote a text. Or
Yeah.
was she writing this text
No,
independently?
she saw the photos with you, with Andreas Kohler, that was helping in editing. We were all to agree that we wanted a text that was not like an analysis about my images, but was a text by a personality that wrote our own text. Like the common thing is the winter, and it's the atmosphere of winter. She saw the photo because as well in some lines there are some inspiration of some of the photo, like the bearded man with all the how do you say in English now, and there is a part of the text that she dreams that she's in her drops on the rivers of roads of his history, you know, by the. So there are some reference of the text, but it's as well a text that stands alone, and it's about the winter. So I was really happy that is as well so personal. As you say, she was pregnant. During the winter, you know, and winter normally is as well when calf born. You know, it's the season where new calf. So it's in a way it's as well new life for her in her person, you know, and she's living upstairs the farm, and so it's all this voyage into their on her feeling during that days. There are like 3 chapters in the text. Sorry, yeah, she's in the photo actually as well in one of the portrait. Noemi, that's one of the last photo I took in one of the portrait. I took a photo of her. I went to the Alp with them. We met various times, you know, we became friends now. And yeah, so it's kind of as well a trip, no, into the winter.
Yes, it's a trip in the winter. Yes, it's like, yeah, it's a winter's dream. This is really true. Like this, with those, with this antagonism of cold and snow and winter and this extremely warm atmosphere with the cows.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, you know, like I was, as a child, I was always with my uncle by the farm with many cows. And I remember I lived through many births of calves. And I remember the smell most, was the smell I remember.
Yeah.
Of the cows and the smell of the calves. Mm-hmm. And the smell of the calves is something unbelievable. Like, so it's so good, you know, it's so sweet. Yeah. Sweet smell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree.
And it's really in this book. This is
I try to transmit, you know, with the images. It's not easy. At the beginning, I thought that I should leave some days the old books in a farm, you know, to absorb the paper, the smell of the farm. But then I think,
yeah,
with the humidity and maybe something happens, better now. But hopefully you can feel some kind of smell, you know, or imagine at least.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what is your next? What are your next projects? Are you working on similar issues now? Do you continue this work, or was this an episode and you are on something totally different?
I'm still okay now because of the COVID. We all know we cannot travel, but anyway, I'm always interested in mountains, in the relation we have with mountains. So I'm still doing photo in Ticino. I will still do photo of farmers and farming, but not for this project. But it's not something that I say, no, I did a project now, not anymore. I will not enter a farm, you know, no. But then I work as well in other project that I did in like remote places of Europe, islands, like in the highlands of Scotland. I did a project in Iran last year. So at the moment I'm a bit editing this more than taking photo because with all the limits we have.
What did you photograph in Iran?
But in Iran, it was as well connected to how a culture. It's a bit more about gardens and how like these gardens they were born in such an arid place, and how like the discovery of the channelization of water permit to grow up one of the biggest culture of the past, like the Persian culture. And so it's all it's a beginning that it's all arid in the desert, and then
About cultivating.
Yeah, no, like in now you manage to, thanks to the channelization of water, create this garden and create a culture. But it's as well some metaphor about like the garden in the name paradise. It was meaning a garden enclosed by walls, like that's the meaning.
Yes.
It's a Persian word. And so I was playing as well with some metaphor, in the nowadays society, like this protection from outside, but as well from the inner society. So I'm working a bit on this. I mean, at least I'm at the moment editing what I have for the moment. And so yeah, it's always, my interest goes always in that, how we relate to the places we live at the end, with the land, with the earth, with the elements. For me, it's
Those projects, how do you finance them? Is this editorial projects?
No, this is
For magazines, or you just do them for yourselves and then you
this I do for
look for exhibitions, or how?
This itself finance itself, like in Iran. I went there for like last year for 5 weeks, and yeah, I'll try to start a project, and then I see if but it's not somebody that sent me, to. And in Scotland as well, I went there 3 or 4 times, and let's say it's an inversion I do, hoping to have like an outcome one day, like to show to somebody. And so at the moment,
What did you photograph Scotland?
why or what? No.
What?
Well, yeah, there it's the like the small, the less dense area, geographically inhabited areas of Europe, like where you have very few people living in a surface. Some islands with like 15 inhabitants.
It's very hard. It's very rough, right?
It's rough as well. It's like there it's more a thing of wind and water, but it interests me as well how people relate to the strongness of the elements. In a way, the people, they were saying, no, but why I like to live here, and people, they were saying me the most common answer it's that it was a safe place to live, and so to me it's always kind of curious that it's a place that it doesn't seem safe, at least for nature, but it feels safe from other people, like. And so yeah, I did in the Orkney, in the Shetland, and now I'm thinking how to relate these two projects together or by themselves. It's a bit a moment of processing, the images, because at the moment I was concentrated with this project that we did together now, and but yeah,
You also mix photographing people, portraiting, and landscape and animals, or what's the
animals? I don't know. I have a particular love, I don't know, for photographing animals. There are animals as well, more wild animals in Scotland. Like deers, deers or and now I don't know in English the names, like this kind of birds or night birds, owls, or like killed animals as well, like killed animals that we use for decorating things. not always alive animals. And but it's as well, yeah, always people and landscape.
It's an amazing scene. Just by the way, I remember the scene in The Crown, in this series, The Crown. They are at this castle in Scotland of the Queen, you know, British Queen. Yes, this castle, Balmoral, in Scotland, and then they go hunting there. And the landscape is so rough, you know, it's so cold and rough and arid, and there's no forest, and it's just mirroring the coldness of the royal family, you know, with mistreating Diana. That's the story, you know, like in the series. And then the metaphorical animal that is mistreated is a deer, and he's shot by somebody, and he's not dead, and he's on flight, and they're looking for days and days and days to give him the final shot. And you always see, you know, you see scenes from the royal household, and then you see this deer, you know, having pains walking through the forest. It's amazing how it's done. It's kind of also like an animal that is suffering for the human animals that are suffering in the film. It's really well done. You should see it. It's great how it's done. This kind of juxtaposition of animal.
What's it called again? Sorry.
Human suffering. The Crown. It's a series on Netflix, which is in the third.
Okay. Yeah. I've heard. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't know.
So now it's the fourth. I think the fourth.
Yeah.
No, the fourth. Yeah, it will go on until present. That's now 20 years ago, so 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So it will continue until its actual time setting. Yeah. Alfio, it was a pleasure to talk to you.
No, to me too. Pleasure, of course.
We will finish now. This is the book. I'll show again the writing. Right. Via Lactea. How do you say this in English? Milky Way?
Yes.
Milky Way is the astronomical phenomenon, the Milky Way, but it's the same. Via Lactea is the same.
It's the same. It's in Latin, but it's actually the same.
The star, we also say Via Lactea.
No?
Yeah. And as I said, it's about the Alps. It's about cows, calves, animals, working animals, and human animals. And it's a beautiful book. And it's done by Alfio Tommasini. Thank you very much for talking. And
thanks to you. It was an honor, a pleasure.
Take care. I don't know. COVID is not so bad now in Ticino. It's okay, Ticino. It's better now, no?
It's good. I don't know. We don't. You never. You don't know what to think anymore. But yeah, hopefully. But maybe a bit better than in Zurich or in Geneva.
Oh yeah, Zurich is not so good.
Yeah.
But it will be better.
To meet in person soon again.
Yes, we will. Take care.
Take care too. Thank you, Patrick. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
React. Oh yeah, no.
Should I do